What's up, Cardfighters? Ryan here from Vanguard Central, bringing in a brand new deck profile for Deathspray Diablo. It's going to be one of my good friends, Henry, bringing his deck profile. We're going to go ahead and showcase it out to you guys.
Stand up, Vanguard!
So we're going to start off with the threes. We run 4 Blaster Dark Diablo, your main dude. You play this so you can retire 1 off of every Phantom Blaster Diablo stride, and he just makes the deck work. If you're playing Deathspray Diablo, you're playing 4 of this dude. Since we're playing Deathspray Diablo, we also have 4 Deathspray. You see a lot of builds running 3. I'm going to run 4 because you want to see this guy. You want to see him, and generally we want to have activators for Charon through the deck, who will be shown in a little bit. We're running 4 in this. Because we want to see grade 3s early, we run 1 Wordle in the Darkness Vortimer Diablo. We run 1. A lot of builds run 2. We're running 1 here. You don't really want to ride him, but you do want to see more grade 3s in your early game. So we're thinking that 1 is sort of that sweet spot to run, because you don't want to burn through your grade 1 supply so quick, though he is a solid ride if you need to ride him. Moving into the 2s, we have 4 Hoel. Hoel makes your spectral turns insane, beefs up your phantom swings even more. He works off, important to know, he works off of any grade 1 call to get those plus 3k stacks on your Vanguard and himself, and gets that counter charge and soul charge off of Kaiden. Combine this guy with Kaiden and you have an amazing advantage engine. I would run 4 in any Deathspray Diablo build. Moving on, we have 4 Dark Saga Painter. Some builds like 3, we run 4 because we really want to dig deep for our combo pieces, and you want to have a large grade 1 supply in your deck to call off a Trumpeter, off a Spectral. We run 4 mostly for that reason, to keep up our resources, and to dig real deep. And to round out the grade 2s, we have 2 Maka. In case you can't call grade 1s enough, CB1 on boosted attack. You can call a Trumpeter, fill up your field real quick, call that fodder for Phantom. I think it's a solid inclusion at 2. Don't really need more than that though. For the 1s, we'll start with your Perfect Guards. They're the Unflippers. I think you have to run the Unflippers in this, because you really want to save your CBs as much as possible, and you can't always get a Hole and Kahiden off, so if possible I would run Perfect Guard Gs at 4. Moving on, we have, we would have 4 Charon, if I could find the last one. But 4 Charon, because we want to dig real deep for our Blaster Dark Diablo ride. Because if you don't really ride Diablo, the deck sort of falls apart. We also want to have fodder for our Vanguard swings as much as possible. Triple Kaiden. Some builds run 4. I'm thinking 3 is just enough because he's great fodder for our Phantom swings or Spectral swings, and again he makes the whole resource engine rounded out. Thinking 4 is a little bit much to run into, but 2 and you won't really run into him at all. 3 rounds it out pretty nicely. In that same vein, we got triple Darkheart. Some builds run 2 because they're concerned with soul. I'm thinking Darkheart's just too good to leave at 2. Fills up the board real quick with a simple Soul Blast. Again, you can toolbox any of your grade 1s and make a 16k column off of Dark Saga. It's just too good. Run it at 3. And into the zeros, we got our starter, David. Some variants like the Full Bow Diablo variant, where you got Blaster Dark Spirit and that combo for an extra retire. I'm thinking we run David simply because our Vanguard could always use more food, be it Spectral, Phantom, and yeah, just more food's good, in my opinion, for Diablo builds. But again, there are the Full Bow variants, which also get the job done. Trigger lineup is 8 critical, 4 draw, specifically Howl Owl, because we want soul. And 4 heal. Moving on to the G zone. The dude. Don't really have to explain it. He makes the deck. He wins you games. Cheese. We got 3 Aura Geyser. Pretty much an auto-include in most Shadow builds. You really want to grab that advantage early, especially if your hand takes a hit from early crits or something. You don't really run 4 because that 4th copy isn't much used, but we do run 3 because we tech Doomed at 1. You could stride him first if, say, you need to clear your opponent's field because you're in a bind. And remember that this is an act skill, not on attack. So you technically mulligan, say if you have something like a Charon on field or your starter still, say. I think it's a real good inclusion at 1, and I would run it if possible. The other dude, Spectral. Massive columns off of Hole and Kaiden, and he will win you games quite often, comparably to Phantom. Some builds like him at 3. I think 2 is just enough to get those punishes in if your opponent fields too many units, and again, if 1 doesn't do the job, you always have that second one to do it. For our 1 of G units, besides Doomed, we got the 1 Grim. Sometimes it's not really in your best interest to CB, or you just don't have the CB, or you don't have a field. So Grim is sometimes a safe choice in that regard. I mean, build a Dark Saga column real quick. Some people may run Blizza. I think that's a fine choice. Again, Blizza can get to huge numbers, but most of the time this guy is just flip fodder anyway. So I guess that's a matter of preference and maybe your local meta. I've been having some success with Grim. And Seabreeze, because we want to punish our opponent for G-assisting, failing to G-assist, as horrible as that is. And in fact, Seabreeze can activate our Makas and our Dark Saga Painters. So if you need to dig early and say your opponent stayed at 2, Seabreeze helps get that off real nice. And for our G-Guards, we run 2 Ludwig, 1 Scryu, and 1 Dismal. The G-Guard lineup's very fluid, and you can alter it to your local meta preference pretty much. I like Ludwig at 2, as horrible as he may be, in that you can technically clear out your own field. Again, as bad as this reasoning is, say if you're going to go for a Spectral turn and you need those grade 1 calls to give stacks to your Vanguard and your whole columns, Ludwig can technically clean up your field of some vanilla units, say a Dark Heart that was already used, or again, as loss of value as this is, say your starter stayed on the field, you could technically bring it over and add another 10k shield. Again, though, I'm of the opinion that once Shadows get a real G-Guardian, this guy is out for good. And we have Dismal for the Dimension Police matchup. I think just 1 is good enough. I mean, if you don't really have reason to not run 1, because we simply have the space for it. And Scryu, because given that we do run draws, you could always drop a draw to get a virtual plus 5k shield, or you could drop your grade 3s, which you may have a lot in your hand considering you don't necessarily need to use them to strike. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you liked the deck profile. I recommend taking this build to your event. It can be pretty cheap, again, if you comment out the main deck, and I think it's just a solid build to take with you to any event.
Awesome. So thanks again to our good friend Henry. Like our videos, like always, guys. Comment down below if you have any questions, and subscribe for more content. Vanguard Central, out.